welcome to this video. It's so great to meet you here. My name is Kinga de Wit. I'm founder of Wellness in Mind International Holistic Wellness Coaching, and with these videos I want to share some information about different topics, really different disorders, mental health issues, and how to cope with them, because I'm a psychologist and a coach and I see things from different perspectives. So I incorporate also things you can do physically as well as spiritually, in addition to coping with your emotions and your mind. And this video is all about frustration and anger. So welcome to this video. Let's start with frustration. Frustration is not quite as bad as anger is, right? So frustration really tells us something about things that we're not in agreement with. So there is a situation in your life, something is happening or something is done to you that you can't or won't accept. So you start fighting against reality, and that's a fight that you'll lose. So frustration can be very frustrating in and of itself. Frustration has always something to do with your expectations. It's like with disappointment. You can't get disappointed if you don't have any expectations. So the good news is that your emotions, basically all your emotions, are of your own doing. And that is good news, because if you do them yourself, you can do something about it. You can undo them, right? So it's really important to understand that your emotions, your feelings, whatever they might be, come from within. It has something to do with your state of mind. When you're cranky and everything is going wrong, and it actually isn't, right? But you interpret things because of the way you are feeling. It's the same with things that frustrate us. When you're feeling happy, when you're in love, everything is cool, right? And if something stands in your way, an obstacle or a block or whatever, you go about it in a whole different way than when you're cranky and feeling fed up with everything. So it has something to do with your state of mind, how you interpret things that are happening in your life. It has something to do with your vision of life. So how do you carry yourself? What are your beliefs? What is your image of how the world should be? That all comes into play when emotions are involved. So emotions really tell us something about what is going on inside of us. So it's a way of our body to communicate with us that something is wrong, something is bad, something is going on, or that everything is peachy, right? So when you're frustrated, think about the expectations that you might be having from life, from the world, from that situation, from the people around you. What are you really asking of them that isn't the way you think it should be? Okay, because everybody has his or her own vision of life. We all see the world differently. We all have our own world inside of us. And we interpret things in the outer world, and we project our inner selves onto the world. Like I said, with emotions, when you're cranky, you tend to interpret things in a darker manner than when you're in love and feeling great. Okay, so think about that when you're frustrated. And also, frustration can be a reminder that something in your life is a bit off, that you're doing something that could be better. And frustration becomes then a form of complaining. When people are complaining about things, then you know that that person realizes that something better should be possible. So they know a better solution, a better way. So think about it when you're frustrated. What is it that you're fighting against? What are you not agreeing to really in your life? And think about how you can change it maybe. Maybe, you know, it's something that you have to have patience with and let go. But in most cases, I feel that the things that we're frustrated about tell us that we're doing something that's not in agreement with us and what we really want. So something is out of alignment. And wouldn't it be great to use frustration as you know, a tool to recognize what is wrong and start doing the things that we do want. So you can use frustration as a tool for that. Now, anger is a level higher, right? So when you're angry, it always has something to do with demands. So it's not expectations anymore, but you're really demanding something. So again, ask yourself when you're angry, what is it that you would want to see changed? When you're angry with another person because they did something to you, or they have a whole different lifestyle and they it seems like, you know, they're from another planet or whatever, what is it that you're demanding from them? And many times we demand that people are exactly the same as we are. So it's an acceptance issue. It's we're not tolerating and accepting that reality is what it is, that other people have their own state of mind and their own reality, and we want to change them. So even if you don't necessarily take action on it, and you don't actually demand from people that they change, it's enough to have that in your mind. So when you're thinking about changing another person, think of it as this. Each time you point to another person and say to yourself, he or she should be different in any way, should change their behavior, should go about this problem in a different way, should listen to me, should understand me, should respect other people. Every time you do this, leads to some sort of bad emotion. It can be anger, it can be frustration, it can be disappointment, and it will leave you feeling alone and discarded and not good enough, because you can't change that other person. You can talk to them about your wishes and your needs, but that doesn't guarantee that they will do that. So each time you're concentrating on the other person, you're giving your power away, because it's not your job to be there. Their behavior, their state of mind, their reality is their job. And it's your job to focus on yourself and your own view of the world. So emotions tell us something about ourselves and how we go about things. Anger and frustration aren't necessarily bad. A lot of us have learned many years ago, when we were children, we were really small, that anger is a bad thing, and that you shouldn't be angry, and that you're a bad person really when you get angry. And what we then do, and what we started doing as young children really, is suppress that emotion, because it wasn't allowed to express ourselves. But you have the right to feel angry. That's just one of the emotions that we have, and we're human beings after all, right? So anger is part of life. We all get angry, you know? what happens when you suppress anger for a long period of time is that it turns toxic. It becomes toxic to yourself. And the longer you suppress a feeling, the more powerful it gets. So it has the power almost to take over you. It's not really that way, but we experience it like that. So we can, it can feel as we're run by our emotions. We don't have control over them anymore. And also what often happens when we suppress anger, when it becomes toxic to our bodies, is that it leads either to physical problems, because emotion is energy in motion, and when you suppress it and you make it stuck somewhere in your body, that gives something that reflects, you know, in a way that we feel in our body. But it can also lead to depression, because depression is also the result of suppressed emotions. We stop feeling, we disconnect ourselves from our emotions. So it's really important to allow your emotion to flow freely. But that doesn't mean that I'm promoting, you know, people going around all angry and with the tongue on the sleeve and, you know, being all aggressive, because that's really destructive. You can, however, use frustration and anger in a constructive way, because anger also can be used as fuel, as something that ignites you and that gets you into action. Okay? So in that way, anger can be used in a very, very good way. And the way to do that and to think about it is this. Think about the things in your life that you're settling for, that aren't really the way you would want them to be, but it's the next best thing, right? Or you make the best out of situations, because that is how you learn to deal with things. You know, the whole world is burning down and you still manage to cope with that, and that's a great thing. But when you do that, that also can lead to suppression of emotions. So think about it like this. What is it that you're agreeing to in your life, or settling for, that you really, really don't like? And if you think of it like that, get angry. Start getting angry, because in an energetical way of speaking, that can lead to action. So, you know, when you're, I don't know, living at home with your parents and you're a grown man or woman, and you make the best of it by saying, you know, I accept this in my life. Sounds great, right? I accept this for now in my life, and I'm thankful that I have a roof over my head. But basically, it's not what you want. So when you accept things, you take out the energy out of everything. So being grateful is not always the best strategy. When you get angry and you say to yourself, wow, this is not what I want for myself. This isn't the life I want to lead. I want to get out of here as fast as possible. You know, and get angry, get frustrated with the situation. Then you can put it to use, to good use. So that's another form of some other issue I wanted to talk to you about. There's one more thing, and that is that I started this video by saying that emotions are always of your doing. And actually that isn't the case, because about 90% of what we feel and think we know is not our own. Because almost everything you think you know is told or expressed to you by some other person. And energetically speaking, we are surrounded with the thoughts and energies and leftovers thereof of the people around us. When you walk into a house, you've maybe experienced sometimes there's, you know, an atmosphere that is really heavy, and then you pick up on that. And some people are very susceptible to that, others not so much. But a lot of people know these kind of experiences, or had these kind of experiences. So we pick up on all these different emotions, state of minds, frequencies all around us the whole day. So it is possible to feel sad or angry or whatever, and that it is not of your doing, that it's not something that belongs to you, or that is really your feeling. So I talked about that in my last newsletter from Wellness in Mind, and what to do about it. So if you're interested in that, please message me. So what I propose you do is always look at yourself first. That's the starting point. As I said, you can't do anything there, you know, with the other person. That's their doing, you know. Take your power back by taking responsibility for your emotions. And that can mean that you ask yourself the question, is this mine? Who does this belong to? Who does this feeling belong to? Now, the thing is, when you feel lighter at that moment, it's not yours. And it's 90% of the time, okay? If it feels heavier, it is yours. And then you can do different things about it. And what I propose you do is think about what I said, you know, what are your demands? What are you expecting? What are you disagreeing with? What, you know, what is the frustration or the anger or that nasty feeling you're having all about? But the most important thing is that you know that it is always about you. You either produce the feeling or you picked it up. And it's not always a bad thing, because we are allowed to feel our emotions, and it's really important to feel them and to not suppress them or judge them and think of them as bad. And you know, to take ownership and responsibility, especially for what we do with them. And that's the difference between reacting and responding. Now, reacting is like instinctive. It's not something you have control over, but you can always take a second to stop yourself, think things through, and think about what it is that you want to accomplish, what is your goal, what do you want to say, and you can always express your anger in a respectful way. That's called being assertive. You can tell somebody, you can look them in the eye and say to them, when you do things like that, it makes me really, really angry. And again, it's all about you. So don't attack that person, don't expect them to change or to understand you. Own it. Take responsibility for that emotion and for the way you respond to the situation. Okay, so I hope this was helpful to you. If you have any questions, it's, you know, everything I know about anger and frustration all into one video. So I might have cut a few corners here. So if something is not clear or if you have any questions, please ask them. And if you know somebody who could benefit from this video or my other videos, please share this information with them. Okay, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.